Hello everyone, Cold Open here to tell you a little bit about Intelligent Speech. Intelligent Speech is an online conference happening this year on November 4th between 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the theme this year is Contingencies, when history meets the backup plan. It's going to have a large number of great speakers. It'll have 3 keynotes, 8 roundtables, and 32 individual sessions in 4 separate virtual rooms, and we are going to be one of the speakers, together with many other brilliant podcasts you've certainly heard of, such as Daniele Bolelli, Trevor from History of Persia, and several other sibling Rexipods. The tickets are normally $30, but if you act now, you'll be able to get a $20 early bird special. But not only that, as listeners of the show, you'll be able to have an extra 10% discount on this price if you use the code RULE at checkout. RULE, RULE. We will be participating in one panel and have our very own talk, where we'll tell you the topic in due time, but for now, suffice it to say that it deals with certain more mythological elements of the life of Alexander the Destroyer. So you can get excited for that. But anyway, on with the show.
Hello, and welcome to So You Think You Can Rule Persia, the podcast where we rate and review all the kings of Persia from Diocles to Yazdegerd III. I'm Serial, and my pronouns are they, them.
And I'm Umberto, my pronouns are he, him. Hello everybody, and welcome to episode 43, Mithridates IV. Serial, last time we mentioned that 2 sons had killed their father, and you were disappointed that you knew who the next person was. Well, we get to find out how that works.
Right. Can you refresh my memory a little? Because not only have I just woken up from a nap, but also it's been a bit, and Succession lately has just been what is going on.
It's been a messy period with few sources. It's improving, don't worry. It's going to improve a lot, in a couple episodes. So don't worry. But yeah, so let's just quickly recap what happened under the reign of Phraates III, who, remember, was the son of Sinatrukes, he of the Good Hat.
Yes.
So what Phraates did is basically everything was too calm, so he got involved into the massive war, the end of the Mithridatic Wars, between Rome and the generic East. And in the end, Phraates tried to take some land from Armenia, got involved with Tigranes the Younger, who was incompetent and tried to take his father's throne 3 times and failed all of them.
Oh my god, yeah. Demetrius 2.0.
Remember him.
Even worse.
Yeah, not good. And yeah, then Phraates tried to take some land, but then the Romans came in, particularly Pompey the Great.
Yep.
Who said, no, you can't have all this land.
Alexander fanboy.
Yeah, Rome decides where the border between our kingdoms lies, because we are Rome.
I hate that.
Yeah, and Phraates was like, yeah, I don't really want to go to war for this, let's not do that. And in the end, we had that Phraates' 2 children, Mithridates and Orodes, ended up poisoning him.
Yep.
And, well, they didn't really have a plan for how to succeed exactly, but...
who plans an assassination of a leader and then does not have a plan if said assassination actually works? Did they not think they would get this far, or what?
It happens really often,
Was it
Serial.
just a prank?
Just think about the death of Caesar, where they kill him and they're like, what now? Oh, damn, we didn't think this far. Make a speech, hope it works? I don't know.
I can't.
Think about the death of Caligula. They just made Claudius emperor because it was like, sure, I guess this guy will do.
I mean, but
we don't have anything.
Caligula was... That is an outlier. There
are so many people. The death of Commodus, that also. There are so many.
Yeah, you should plan what you're going
to
do once the assassination happens, right?
If you learn one thing from this podcast is think of what happens after the murder.
Yeah.
The murder itself is complicated, but also plan afterwards, especially if you're in a royal family.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, overall, our last king was a little bit disappointing, in the sense of he really wanted something to happen to make a name for himself under the shadow of his father.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, fair, I get it. If your father is so great, then it's only natural that you would want to, like, have achievements of your own. But then, when something actually happens, i.e. Pompey comes over from Rome and is like, I'm going to bully you, and you don't really do anything about it. Like, you made problems that weren't problems, and then when actual problems arose, you were like, no. Oh no,
Yeah.
what am I supposed to do? Like, come on.
Yeah, Phraates was too average to actually be great. Like,
Yeah.
a greater king, one of the old Mithridates would have done an amazing job in his place, but Phraates was just sitting there and like, yes, no, maybe, who knows. Didn't do great.
No.
But what are your expectations for Mithridates IV, Serial?
Well,
Is he going to live up to the first and second, or is he going to be more like the third?
I know that we do not have a very long episode, so
Mm-hmm.
I am not expecting an Antiochus the Great.
I will tell you, it is roughly on the order of magnitude of Mithridates I as length.
Okay. Well, then at least we can say that he did not die immediately. Which, cool.
Fair.
Good,
It's not a
good job.
5-minute episode, sure.
And I guess he doesn't immediately get killed by his brother. So, as to how he will fare, I don't have high hopes because I never do. And also because they did not have a plan after the murder, which feels like step one of being an organized leader. Like, it's not that they got it thrust upon them, right? It wasn't like, oh, someone else killed the king.
No, they were in charge.
But like,
They
yeah,
knew what
exactly.
was
Like,
going
they
on.
knew. It was their idea.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess we can get into it and then you can judge once you've heard all the facts. Okay, so, well, what we know of Mithridates IV is that he is the eldest son of Phraates III, our previous king,
Yes, we know this.
and born sometime between 110 and 90 BC, making him sometime in his 40s or 50s by the time he takes the throne.
Oh, so he's not like, they're not a couple kids.
They're not kids, no, they're like
Like-
fully adult men. They should have known better, but they never do.
Sigh of desperation.
Indeed. And well, as we mentioned, he has a younger brother called Orodes.
Who is like, what, 30 something?
Thereabouts. We don't really know precise details, but presumably around 10 years younger.
Okay.
And as a young prince, we don't know too much about Mithridates, but it's possible that he was the governor of Media during his father's reign. Although it could just be it was another guy called Mithridates, but since this is the one Mithridates we know some information about, it could
Might
be
as
that it
well
was
be the
him,
same.
and it makes sense that if you're going to have an heir to the throne, you give him a practice kingdom to work on before he actually becomes king.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you should have taught him patience too.
Taught him to not murder his father.
Yeah.
That's an important lesson.
You know, every family. Also, oh, right, I was going to comment that, like, with Media, are we referring to, like, the region now? Or is there still some sort of remnant of the Median Empire that we talked about in, like, episode 0?
No, nothing remains of the Median Empire.
I
But there are
figured.
two Medias. Essentially, one Media is a satrapy of the Parthian Empire.
Okay.
Another Media, which it becomes more relevant in the future,
Uh-huh.
but it's called Media Atropatene, from a guy called Atropates, who was an Achaemenid satrap who basically made his own mini-kingdom when Alexander came through.
Mm.
And Media Atropatene is its own separate kingdom. It's roughly modern Azerbaijan.
Okay.
Roughly. But that's still a semi-independent kingdom, which is sort of under Parthia, but not really. It's half and half.
All right. Okay, well, thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, no worries. It's good to point out. But yeah, so then in 57, we have that Mithridates and his brother Orodes get together and kill their father.
Wow. Congrats.
Yes.
Awesome. Wow.
Yes.
Do you have a clue what happens now?
No.
Exactly.
Not at all. Nothing. But it looks like either Mithridates had planned ahead and Orodes hadn't, or just chance played out this way because Mithridates manages to gather enough support to make himself King of Kings.
Okay, ouch.
Yes.
You know, when you plan a patricide with your brother, and then you're like, oh, but I get to be king, right?
Yeah, it's like getting together to buy a present and then only one of you takes credit. It's not cool.
Exactly the same, yes.
Yeah, it was a
Perfect
special Father's Day
comparison.
present, and only one took credit. It was very sad.
Also, I feel like it got me, like, I feel like it sounded especially sad because it wasn't like, oh, he talked about it with his brother, like, he fought with his brother about it, but, like, he got the support of others.
Yeah.
So his brother would have no option. You know, he did it the military royal way, which...
Yeah, it wasn't a civil discussion. Oh no, you'd be great as king. You can do it. It'll be fine. No, it was the, I am king now. I've already done everything.
Yeah.
You have no choice. And well, at that point, one of the first events of his reign is that Orodes is exiled.
Yeah, this is bad. This is like bad sibling behavior. But also very,
Not fun.
you know, it makes sense in the royal line. So
Yeah, pretty much. And also, it's unclear if it's Mithridates exiling his brother instead of killing him just to be
yeah,
kind,
mildly
or if it's
kind.
Orodes who, as soon as he realized, oh no, Mithridates made himself king, I should probably run away before he gets me.
Which fair. Yeah, you should probably.
Which is reasonable. You know, you killed your father together, he's not going to stop at a brother.
He could also be like, oh, the murderer of the previous king, and just like pin it on him.
I guess you could try, but when you're trying to accuse the king in the king's court, that rarely ends well.
No. I meant the other way. I meant Mithridates pinning it on.
Oh,
Orodes.
yeah. That could have been a thing, yeah, definitely.
If he
That
wanted
would
to
have been
get
very
rid of
crafty,
his brother,
I like
then,
it.
you know,
It's like, oh, how could he? How
Hmm.
could you kill your father?
he's clearly a threat to me now because I am the heir. Because he's the elder, right?
Yeah, he's the elder, so technically he's quote-unquote legally succeeding.
Sure. I mean, that's one way to do it.
Yes, very technically.
Should have learned some patience from Prince Charles.
Yes,
King Charles. My apologies.
yes. HRH. Well, now that Orodes is out of the way, Mithridates decides, you know what? I should probably make a name for myself and consolidate the throne.
Yeah.
So,
Good. Good
yeah,
thinking.
decides I should probably make sure that I am seen as the best candidate for the throne, and even if Orodes plans on something, well, I'll be in charge and it'll be okay. So he looks around the empire, and, well, in the east, the nomads have still been decimated from the times of Mithridates II, so that's not an issue. That's fine.
That's still taken care of because damn,
Yes.
Mithridates really... Oof.
But he looks to the west and he sees something quite interesting. He notices that Pompey is back in Rome, basically creating the first triumvirate and trying to find land for his veterans back in Rome.
At least he's, you know, trying to keep his promises. I like when that happens.
Yeah, he's keeping his promises by being massively corrupt in Rome.
Yeah.
It's easy.
That's how it goes in Rome, though. Like, I don't know what you
Yeah,
expected.
true. If you're not being massively corrupt, why are you even in Rome? So not only is Pompey away, but also Tigranes the Great, powerful and skillful king of Armenia, has just died
Right.
and was succeeded by a much less capable son. So Mithridates thinks, okay, that's a golden opportunity. Rome isn't going to dictate to us what to do. This son is going to be consolidating his power. I can just march in and take what I need to, and hey, great PR victory for back home.
True.
So Mithridates starts this lightning war against the Armenians with the aim of taking a small border kingdom called Gorduene that Phraates III had tried to take, but Pompey said no, bad
This
king.
is so funny because we're still trying to conquer the thing that caused us problems in the first
Yes.
place, like last time, which is to conquer Armenia when we had no business conquering Armenia.
Cyril, you can write that as a note for the next 50 episodes, and it will probably still be accurate.
Oh my god.
It's like, but then we went into Armenia and
Stop
stuck our
trying
nose
to
in someone else's
conquer
business.
Armenia.
Yeah.
Just choose somewhere else.
It never works, Cyril, I'm sorry. It's just too appetizing
People
a place.
should know when to quit, in my opinion.
No, never. If you quit, the Romans win, and who really wants to live in that world?
I mean, fair, but also, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, so Mithridates invades Gordwane, and fortunately enough, the war goes very well. Tigranes' son doesn't manage to hold back. Mithridates marches in, takes this tiny kingdom. A peace treaty is signed before the messenger could get back to Rome and inform the Romans that something was wrong.
Hey.
And so by the time the war is over, Rome can't do anything because, well, the war is over. They can't really intervene.
Should have
So,
faster messengers. Jessica
Yes.
wins.
Yes, Roger was sleeping on the job that day.
Oops, sorry. Thank you, Roger. Don't tell anybody that we invited you over for some wine.
But yeah, so now finally Mithridates has his victory. He managed to expand the empire in the west, and, well, he made himself look better in the process. And it looks like in the meantime, he was favoring the western nobility of the empire. Probably he gave some estates to different nobles in this newly captured area just to make sure he was better liked and they would actually continue supporting him. Because, as we saw, this isn't fully an elective system, but it's an elective system if you're weak. So
Right.
you want the nobility to be happy at least. Otherwise, they can very quickly just shift and pick a new king. The problem with Mithridates' plan is that he neglected to reward the eastern nobility.
Oh, come on. Like, you had one job.
Yeah, there wasn't much land, to be fair, to reward people with, but should have picked better people to reward with land.
Yeah. I think this plan wasn't properly thought through.
Yeah. And he didn't only neglect the nobility of the east, he neglected the very important Surena clan of Sakistan, which are the people that supported Sinatrukes to become king in the first place.
Which
and
is where we had the
Phraates.
cool hat.
Yeah,
It was the sponsors.
yeah, the sponsors for the cool hat.
Oh, so the people that you owe your whole dynasty to,
Yeah.
you didn't reward them?
He
Great.
presumably thought that, it's been 50 years, I can probably look at someone else. But the Surena clan, who also traditionally crowns kings, is not happy with this. They're absolutely unconvinced that Mithridates is doing a good job with what he has.
Yeah.
So at this point, the head of the Surena clan, a man called Surena, although probably that is just the typical name of the head of the family, because it sounds like it. And for those of you reading ahead, yes, this is that Surena. He is the important one.
Oh.
And he might be the historical source for the hero of the Shahnameh Rostam, according to some scholars.
Okay, so, an important guy.
So, important. We'll find out why. But all you need to know for now is that he crowns Orodes as king, because, hey, that's his right as a noble.
Yep.
So, Orodes is king now. Please kick out Mithridates.
Yep. Who could have seen that coming?
Yeah.
I imagine that Orodes just, fled, whether it was because Mithridates was like, oh, you're exiled now to avoid problems, or if he was like, I'm gonna run away. He found a little nice, piece of land to just, have a farm. When I say little, I say, in the rich, I used to be royalty
massive
way,
estate.
right? Of, oh, I am having this small life in a village, but, it's still a mansion because... I was just, just chilling, maybe he found a wife or something, maybe he found some friends or some animals, and then suddenly this messenger from the Saka people?
Yeah.
Came over and it's like, hey, we're doing this now. He's like, no, wait, my farm.
But my cabbages! But yeah. So Orodes is king, and the very interesting thing about this is that this is the first time that we have two rival kings calling themselves King of Kings.
Right, because that doesn't... it is overall agreed that there can only be one King of Kings, because don't be ridiculous, of course.
And usually the idea was that it was a title you earned, because it was sort of like being called the Great. Like Mithridates 1 and 2 called themselves King of Kings. Tigranes the Great called himself King of Kings.
Yeah.
Phraates also called himself King of Kings after sort of defeating Armenia.
Again, Armenia.
Yeah. But the problem here is that now it's no longer a symbol of you are the great king. It's agreed that Parthia is the realm of the King of Kings. There is no competition. But now King of Kings is more of a matter of internal legitimacy.
Right.
Rather than external legitimacy. You're not trying to prove anything to foreign powers. You're trying to prove yourself to internal factors. And yeah, so at this point, Orodes is at the head of an army of Saka and other eastern nobles, and he marches off to the west to attack Mithridates and kick him out and fight him and the other western nobles.
Because who didn't see this coming? Of course.
Yeah.
Of course the brothers are gonna fight.
Yes. Fratricide runs in the family. Should have started earlier, but hey. So, at this point, whatever the situation, Mithridates was not ready. Mithridates either didn't expect this to be happening so fast, maybe they made a super fast march to the west, maybe Mithridates didn't really trust his western nobles to fully support him and not backstab him as soon as the enemy army was in sight.
Fair.
Which, reasonable. You don't know. So, Mithridates decides that he is going to leg it.
Okay. Fair.
So, he finds that, well, the east is in Orodes' hands, so you can't escape that way. He recently attacked Armenia, so they're probably not going to welcome him with open arms.
Yeah, no, because you just tried to conquer them.
Yeah. Which leads just one place, Serial. You guess which it is.
Oh, please tell me he doesn't go to Rome.
He does!
Oh my god! Wait. What do you mean?
Yes, he does. Yeah, he takes his little backpack, goes to Syria, knocks on the walls of Antioch and says, "Hello, Mr. Rome, can I ask for some help, please?"
Oh, hello, I am just a poor little man. Like, come on! You call yourself king of king? Oh, please, get out of my sight.
Well, it's going to only improve from here.
Damn. Nah, I'm done with this guy.
Because Mithridates goes to the governor of Roman Syria, who was, by the way, he was empowered to have authority over the Syrians, the Arabians, the Persians, and Babylon, because stay humble, Romans.
Yeah.
And this governor, a man called Gabinius, decides, I'm sorry, you mentioned how much money in the royal treasuries? And I can get to keep how much if I make you king again? Ooh, yes, of course. Please, Mithridates, take a seat. We'll ready our legions for the invasion as soon as possible.
Love doing business with you. Like, this is literally just hires a lawyer that just wants the money.
Just trying to buy a new kingdom. So everything goes very well. The Roman legions are mustered, and together Mithridates at the head of this...
Mustard? Sorry.
Mustard, yes. Mustard indeed. Mustard grows in that area. It works.
I had never heard that expression, I'm sorry.
Yes. There are seasoned legions. Eh.
Okay, no, stop it. I don't like it anymore.
Oh, okay. But anyway.
Their legions have been mustered. Now, what?
With the legions are in one place. So Gabinius, together with Mithridates, march across the Euphrates River and try to hit Mesopotamia and retake it from Orodes and regain the empire. It's at this point that Jessica comes over to Gabinius with a letter. It's a small piece of papyrus.
Oh.
It's signed Ptolemy XII.
Right, Egypt is a thing.
Yes, Ptolemy XII, P.S. Cleopatra, yes, that Cleopatra's father.
Ah, we've made our way to this point in history.
Yes, we're getting there. I don't think Cleopatra's born yet, or if she is, she's a small child, but still, we're getting there.
I mean, that makes sense, because Mark Antony will happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh no, she's definitely born at this point. Not sure how old she is, because otherwise the ages don't work out. But yeah, she's a small child.
Okay.
And what do you think this letter says, Serial? Any idea why Ptolemy XII might be writing to the Romans?
Well, Egypt has been independent, right, for a while.
Sort
independent
of,
as in...
Independent with big air
from
quotes.
us, I guess. Because they're good at revolutions, but I don't... What is their issue?
Well, Ptolemy XII was also fighting a civil war and also lost his throne.
Yeah, so like I said, Egypt is good at revolutions. So
yes. And so the message is very similar to the one that Mithridates told Gabinius. It's, please, Rome, can you help me get my throne back? I promise to give you so much gold when you get back home. And Ptolemy is offering more gold than Mithridates.
Yeah, which is how you bargain.
Yeah. Also, Egypt has very important Egyptian grain stores that Rome needs to continue living.
I remember that.
Yeah, that's why Egypt is very important.
And technically independent, but technically not, because, they pay to Rome.
Yeah, exactly. They pay to Rome to continue existing.
Yeah.
So what do you think the Romans do now?
Yeah, they dump Mithridates' ass on the ground, and they're like, bye, can't afford to do this right now.
Yes, exactly. They
we
just
have more
stop.
important matters to attempt to.
Yes, Gabinius just takes his legions and makes a right turn down into Egypt, and Mithridates is just sitting there in Mesopotamia with nobody around.
Oof. That's terrible, actually.
Yeah, it's like,
but that's what you get for trusting the Romans.
Yeah, that's what you get. Although, interestingly enough, this is going to leave some enmity between Orodes and the Romans, because the Romans technically declared war on Orodes and never signed a peace treaty. It's going to be a weird shadow situation.
Huh.
Because they did invade his land, but they didn't fight any battles, but it's legally iffy.
But they were gonna.
Yeah.
And Orodes will be like, well, you guys,
we don't invade our friends. What is going on? But to Mithridates' credit, he doesn't give up.
Okay.
He sends letters all around to the Western nobles that supported him and said, hey, listen, I'm back. Help me take over the empire. I will greatly reward you if it works. Yeah.
Please help.
So Mithridates manages to gather a pretty significant amount of soldiers. He gets a good amount of loyalists.
Okay.
And he marches on Babylon.
Damn.
Goes over to Babylon, conquers it, then goes to Seleucia on the Tigris, and takes that as well.
All right, so it's going well.
So he's taken the main cities in Mesopotamia.
Yeah.
Which is very nice for him. And he struck coins in these new cities where there is a symbol of fortune welcoming him back to the kingdom as the legitimate king.
Oh.
Because, coins are useful propaganda when you're exchanging them to people and you're giving them to soldiers. It's like, yes, the legitimate king is back. Oh, cool. I hadn't noticed we'd changed a king, but I guess.
Yeah.
But Orodes is coming. And at the head of his armies is Surena, who is now roughly in his 20s at the time. And he places Seleucia under siege. And they managed to not only just surround the city and make sure that it was isolated, but they assault the city walls, Surena himself being the first man over the walls, apparently.
Ooh,
just the general at the head of everything, because he is a badass and he will be remembered. And so Surena manages to personally take Seleucia, and then he besieges Babylon, which eventually surrenders for hunger. This results in Orodes taking Mithridates' coins, where he was welcomed by fortune, and overstamping them with a design showing Seleucia on its knees in front of Orodes, while Orodes was lifting it back up.
That's very passive-aggressive.
Yes, saying, no, we don't like usurpers in this house. We killed our father together, we're both equally culpable.
Yeah, I guess that's one way to put it.
Yeah. So seeing all this loss of advantage and starting to run low on allies, Mithridates is kind of surrounded. He kind of has a lot on his plate. He can't escape to Syria again. And also, does he want to be a prince in exile forever? So Mithridates goes to Orodes in 55 and surrenders to him, saying, hello, brother. I am trusting in your mercy. I surrender to you. What do you think happens?
Work?
Serial.
Yeah.
Do you think he was right to trust
my question. I'm
his
just
brother
like,
or not?
He did what? Trusting in your mercy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how long did they take them to kill him?
Not very long, because Orodes doesn't go the Bond villain route, saying, kill my brother, I'll get to you when it's done, just let me know when it's finished. No. Orodes, as soon as Mithridates is captured, has him killed in front of his eyes so he can make sure that he is dead. Damn. And then Orodes makes himself king.
These were boys who grew up together. That's
yes,
heartbreaking. Indeed.
Oh, you haven't heard the last of it, Serial. The Arsacid dynasty...
royal family, I guess, doesn't...
is 50 shades of up, as the saying goes.
Right. Damn.
So there's the end of the reign of Mithridates IV. Not as great as the previous Mithridates, but hey, he tried.
Did he now?
He tried.
Anyone who asks for the help of Rome cannot have my forgiveness.
Then you're going to like Orodes, because he has no truck with Rome.
Great. As it should
He has
be.
a blood feud with them.
Yeah, I'm still mad. What they did to Antiochus III and to Antiochus II, just no.
Yes. You're going to enjoy next episode,
Antiochus
Serial.
III.
Antiochus 3 and 4.
Yeah, the great.
Yeah, 4 is the circle. Antiochus.
I'm still mad about that.
Yeah, tough times.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, so we can see tensions are ratcheting up with Rome. We still haven't had our first war with them, but it's just over the horizon.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder when we're gonna finally just lose our
Yes. Absolutely
and
murder
properly
each
go
other.
to war with them instead of being like, oh, whoops, you didn't say I couldn't take Armenia, so I tried.
Yeah, we've been dancing around and it's been like, oh, let's just side people. Oh, the treaty didn't explicitly say that this was a thing, and the Romans
we've
saying,
been
but
bothering
we're going to
them,
say where
right?
the border is. A bit of back and forth, but it's mostly been passive-aggressive comments for now.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to throw a punch soon.
Good.
So, there we go.
Let's see why we are portrayed as the villains constantly.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And then there's going to be a, 700-year-long grudge match where we just keep punching each other in the face and nobody gives up until we're both exhausted and we're destroyed.
Yeah. As war usually goes,
Yeah. But hey, we have 600 years to go until the untimely demise of everyone.
Can't wait.
Hooray! First, we need to go through the untimely demise of some interesting people. But let's get to rating Mithridates IV and see how he stacks up compared to everyone else. Okay, so our first category is final moments. How interesting was his death, killed by his brother in front of his eyes after having surrendered to him, hoping for mercy?
Honestly, I like that his brother was like, do it immediately and I want to watch. I need to
Yes.
make sure.
There's
that
no
he's not
tying
going
him
to
up
be
in
a
a room
problem.
with an axe getting lowered. No, none of that. No elaborate stuff, just chop his head off. Good, done.
Yeah. I can respect that. I mean, it's less fun, right?
Yeah.
But I can respect the stress of like, no, I need to make sure. Like, I am not going to risk this.
Yes. If we have to do another civil war, it's going to be a mess. I'm tired. I do not have time. Kill him now.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty impressed. I like it. I like that it's, family murder, always fun in this house.
If you take this podcast out of context, we will get in so much trouble.
That's fine. Somebody will make a compilation.
People say all kinds of things online, right? But like...
When we eventually get arrested by someone, it's like, yes, this is all evidence.
Yeah, listen, we were talking about a very specific situation. Anyway, yeah, I like the punchiness of Orodes here.
Yeah,
Because,
that's good.
Yeah. I don't know what to give it. Slightly above mediocre, I guess.
Slightly, but I think I'm going for like a 5, honestly. I think this is an interesting death. It's not never heard before amazing thing, but I think it's memorable enough that it's like, oh yeah, this was a fun story. So I think I'm going to go stick with a 5. How about you?
Yeah, a 5 sounds correct.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, slightly above mediocre. I guess that would be a 6, but like, we've given lower.
Yeah, Phraates III
scores
got
to,
a
like,
6 for being killed by his sons.
Then I'll go with a 6.
Okay, that's fair. I understand. I can see that.
And you went with a 5 anyway, so.
Yeah, I think that works. So with a 5 and a 6, we get a 5.5 out of 10 for final moments. Our next category is battle hardness. How good was he at war and fighting? He has pros and cons here.
Yeah, he won some stuff, right? Some battles.
Yeah, so he started a war with Armenia and won it quickly enough that the Romans didn't have time to intervene.
Yeah, funny.
So that's pretty good.
I like that.
That's good. Just speeding through, just speed running the invasion.
Quick before they get home, just...
Yes. So it was already done. Nothing much to do. And then during the Civil War, he ran away at first, so I don't know if you count that in fighting. But then when he came back, even without Roman help, with just the satraps he managed to get, he managed to take Babylon and Seleucia, which is pretty good. The problem is that it sounds like without the Romans, he was seriously outnumbered. And Orodes just came in and crushed him.
Honestly, I have to admire that he did keep going.
Yeah, he didn't just turn
he could
back
have just
and
been
decide
like,
to run away forever.
well, I didn't get the help I needed. Whoops. But like, he still gave it a try. Even though it might have been, futile at that point. But
yeah, he said, okay, I've committed to this. I've crossed the Euphrates.
might
I
as
now
well
need to do this. Yeah.
go out with a bang. Because, who knows?
Maybe in battle he got to kill Rhodes, and hey, everybody switches to his side now because, well, he's the most legitimate
and
survivor.
like when you have nothing to lose, right? Because like if he does turn himself in, that is the same outcome.
Yeah, exactly. So he at least tried, which
I like
admirable.
that.
But for battle hardness, I'm not sure how to go about it. Because let me divide this by points. Because I'm feeling a couple points for the Armenian War. Because it doesn't seem to have been very hard, but he probably did a good job if he was so quick and efficient.
I can't wait to turn Armenia and Armenian wars into just a series of memes. It's
Armenia is the punching bag.
Yeah, ever present. I'm so sorry, Armenia.
Yeah, not fun. Not a fun place to be. So yeah, I think 2 for the Armenian War. I'd say 2 for taking Seleucia and Babylon, and I'm going to subtract 1 for getting crushed. So 3 points is what I'm thinking. Because it's worth something, but it's not
okay, you know what?
unbelievable.
I see that, that makes sense to me. I will join you. You're better at judging these than I am, but I find your reasoning pretty solid. So
Okay, nice. So with a 3 and a 3, he gets a 6 out of 20 for battle hardness, matching Sinatruki's, which is quite nice.
Oh, would you look at that?
Yeah. Our next category is scheminess. How good was he at plots and manipulation? He gets points here.
A few.
Yeah, he conspired with his brother to kill his father.
That on its own,
that's worth something. He also, whatever he did, he managed to beat his brother to the throne in the moments after Phraates died.
Yeah, not only in battle, but he actually, got the support of people, which is what consolidated him.
Yeah, whatever he did, was it, bribing the correct nobles or getting the guards running to the throne room first or whatever.
Yeah.
He managed to get
calling
that.
dibs.
It's like, mine. Just licking the throne, saying, no, I licked it, it's mine.
Isn't that how it works?
So it's that. Then it is pretty schemy that he goes to the Romans and says, hey, I'm going to give you all this money if you take the throne from me.
I mean, that's just, I don't like it.
Yeah, I feel like it's worth some schemy. I think it's worth something. Yeah, those are his schemy credentials. There isn't too much else, but I think it's worth something. I'm reasonably impressed.
I would go for, how many were there?
So there was the father murder, beating the brother to the punch, and the Rome.
I'm going to give him a 2 because...
A 2? Okay.
Because offering money to Rome to get your kingdom back is not really schemy, it's just tired.
I just thought, as another schemy, I don't know if you want to consider it schemy, the rushing into Armenia before the Romans could do anything about it.
No, that, yes. That I will. So, 3 points.
I'm going to go for 4. I'm impressed. I think the father murder and the...
You are entitled to your opinion.
Fine.
It's just wrong, but you can have it.
Sure. But yeah, I'm going for I honestly don't know if to go to 4. No, 5 now. 5 is too much, but
please.
I think 4 is worth it. So with a 4 and a 3, we get a 7 out of 20 for scheminess. Next category is shock factor. How shocking was this man? Again, we have father murder and siding with Rome. If you didn't want to give him points before, I feel like that's pretty shocking. And I don't know if you want to put shocking that he confided in his brother's mercy. Yeah.
Actually, more that.
It's going to be fine. Don't worry.
I mean, I don't think he had a choice. I don't think he was.
His choices were probably limited at that point.
Silly, I'm being it'll be fine. I'm sure he knew, but at that point, what else could he do?
And also another shocking thing for the people at the time is probably that he didn't reward the Eastern nobility enough, and they rebelled
that was
against
a major,
him. So
major
that's
mistake.
Not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that ended up with him being killed in front of his brother.
Shockingly
as
stupid
opposed to
is
king.
what that was.
Yeah, it's not fun. So there are a few elements here. So father murder, Roman support, and the ending up overthrown by your nobility.
Yeah.
Because of poor planning.
He could have been fine if he had rewarded that part of, right? This is what kickstarted. I mean, I'm sure Orodes would still have tried to get to the throne, but
yeah, but then it might have been Orodes going to the Romans and being abandoned in Mesopotamia.
Yeah, exactly.
Mithridates, so. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go for a 4 again here. I'm in the mood for that. I was almost gonna go for a 5, but then I thought that he didn't do anything terrible to the nobility. He just wasn't smart about it. If he had been like randomly torturing nobles, then okay, fine.
Yeah. No,
But,
he just.
Yeah,
it was
messed
a
up
silly
bit there.
decision on his part.
So what's your aim in shock factor?
How many did we have?
I give him a 4.
For not rewarding the Saka, going to Rome.
And, the killing his father, usurping the throne.
Yeah.
That sort of
Although,
thing.
like, how shocking is that, honestly?
A little bit.
Go for a
Tiny
3.
bit.
I'll go for a 3.
Okay, again. So we repeat our previous scores, and with a 4 and a 3, we get a 7 out of 20 for shock factor. Our next category is Aaron Shine. How good was he for the Empire in general, and Iran in particular? Okay, so on
Please
the
tell me.
upside, he got an extra little bit of Armenia. That was nice. That was helpful.
Again.
We'll see how long it lasts.
So focused on this, which,
Yes.
please, there's more important matters. Leave Armenia alone.
Serial, nothing is more important than Armenia. Armenia is everything. You need to hold
Beg to
on to
differ.
Armenia for tight. Yeah. So, got the extra bit of Armenia. Then, that is the positive.
Exactly. This is what I mean.
The negatives are basically triggered a civil war by being overthrown.
Killed the previous king.
Yeah, killed the previous king, messing up the succession. Got the Romans into the picture by making sure that they technically declared war now, but not really, but technically, but not
that
really.
Is going
but
to come bite us
yeah.
in the ass.
Yes, some Romans are going to take advantage of that, saying,
Yep.
well, we're technically at war anyway, might as well.
Yep.
So,
That's
that's
like
the
minus
thing.
3 points in my book.
And yeah, well, and then he just lost the throne. So the Empire isn't too much worse off at the end, but he doesn't own it. So, Orodes doesn't have something that has been terribly devastated. Like Seleucia and Babylon have been besieged twice, so that's not great. But it hasn't been a massively devastating civil war.
That's fair.
So Aaron Shine... I think I'm gonna go for a 1 just for the token Armenia
I was thinking
getting...
a 1, and because we can't give negative points.
No, because I think the Armenia is helping, but also, no, it's not
How long
great.
are we going to have it anyway?
We get to have this bit for a while, I think. Can't remember how much, but definitely for...
Okay. It's better than I expected.
No, we get to keep this for a while. It's on the bit of the border that the Romans don't care too much about.
Oh, so we just keep it because they let us? Come on.
Yeah, it's complicated, you'll see. There's a lot of reasons. Okay, so I guess if we're going for those points, we have a 1 and a 1, which give us a 2 out of 20 for Aaron Shine. Our next category is Face of Faces. What do you think this man looked like?
Oh, God, wait, I need to draw him first. Well, I didn't get a good vibe. Like, I am being very mean to him, and, that's going to reflect. I am so mean, honestly.
I mean,
But, like, what are these royal people who died thousands of years ago gonna do about it,
Yeah, if you wanted to be a good king, you would have.
Like, they don't care that I'm being mean. Nobody needs to agree with me.
It's fine. It works.
It's fun to be mean.
They're dead. Okay, so Sarah has finished their drawing. Let me get it for you, so I'll describe it to you all. Okay, nice. So in this drawing, what we have is Mithridates in the typical Parthian attire, nice robe, closed in the front, a belt, and he has nice long hair, beard, mustache, and he is there just tying a diadem around his head, just finished, and the caption reads, "I call dibs. Okay, now what?" Which sounds like most of his life. He called dibs on the Roman army as well, and somebody else took it from him. He called dibs on the kingdom, someone took it from him. That's story of his life. So, yeah, sorry, Mithridates. That's how it is. If any listeners wants to see this lovely image and the rest of them, you can go to Serial's portrait gallery on our website or go to the show notes in the description of the episode. And now let me show Serial what he looked like. and they can tell me what they think of his face. Here we go.
Oh, fun. Oh, I wish I had known so I could have made him look more like himself, I guess.
Still works.
It's interesting that this coin has less detail, not only in that, like, it's more rubbed off, so to speak, like, it's not so clear, but also it's more stylized than our previous coins.
Yeah, true. Some Parthian coins go very heavy into the stylization, and I like them. This isn't the most stylized we're going to go with.
Okay, but it's more than we've seen before.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I like it. It's a profile looking to the left of a man with a very, like, triangular shaped hairstyle and a diadem on top of his head and a somewhat hooked nose and a pointy beard. And I guess that's either the necklace or the robes that he's wearing. And then there's a star behind him.
Yeah, I was trying to look at that, because there was definitely a star when Tigranes the Great started up, and probably is Halley's Comet, we're not sure, but presumably. But this is like 30 years after.
So no.
So it doesn't feel like it's that, so maybe it's a comet, but I didn't really find any talk about it, so it might just be
it was a thing while, like, during Tigranes, and then they kept it as, like, symbology.
It might
like,
be,
you know,
yeah.
King of Kings kind of.
Yeah, I wasn't able to find anything specifically describing it, so it's either borrowing from Tigranes, or maybe there was a smaller comet at the time, or maybe it's just a symbol of divinity, but yeah. It does also match the cuneiform for God, so that kind of works.
Oh, I see.
But who knows?
Yeah, it makes sense that you would write the word God as star.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a good writing
heavenly
style.
body. Yeah, this is fine. It's a bit of a change from before.
Yeah, I'm not terribly impressed. I think it's
okay. I give it a 5, I think.
Giving it a 5, okay.
Well, maybe a 4, actually.
I'm more unimpressed. I was wondering if 3.
No, I'll go with a 4.
Mm.
But a 3 is fine. You can, you know.
Yeah, I think it's a 3, because it doesn't really have any distinctive traits. The coin is okay.
I feel like I could pick it out from all of the coins that we've seen, you know.
Okay, fair enough.
Like, at some point with the previous dynasty, I would not have been able to necessarily, like, tell everyone apart. But this one is like, oh, yeah.
There is enough change, I will admit that, but I'm still going with a 3. I'm not too impressed.
Fair.
So, with a 3 and a 4, we get a 1.8 out of 5 for Face of Faces. Our next category is lengthiness. How long do you think this man ruled for?
Like 5 years?
5 years? No. You are far overestimating
Really?
our boy Mithridates.
But he took Armenia.
I told you it was a very quick war.
Oh, yeah, that's true. So, like, 2 years?
It was the fastest war in the West. Not even that.
Oh my god.
I mean, okay. To be fair, what I am counting as his reign is
show your bias
before the Civil War starts. So what I'm considering is from the start of his reign, from when his father was killed to when he has to run away to Rome. So the second bit of Civil War I didn't count.
Okay, so not everything that we actually covered in the episode.
Yeah. So considering everything we covered in the episode, that's 2 years.
Okay. Damn.
Otherwise, it's just about a year
this
from
went
57
terribly.
BC to 56 BC.
This went so bad.
It was a very bad plan. Nothing went well.
Damn.
For this man.
Yeah. Disappointing.
So, yeah, sad. So, dividing 1 year by 10, we get 0.1 out of 5 points for lengthiness. So, in total, we can sum all these numbers up, and it gives us a final score of 29.4 out of 100 for our boy, which places him in the high 20s club between Alexander Balas, the terrible Alexander that lost the Seleucid Empire, and Phraates III, who was the father he killed. So he's slightly below him.
That makes sense.
Which I think that works. I'm still impressed by how high he got, but it was mostly the scandal
shocking,
and scheming.
yeah.
It wasn't so much competence, but...
It was the bad categories. Which, again, like, we're not rating these people on how good they were.
No, it's just
That's only one of the categories.
But yeah, that leads us to the final question, which is to ask, is he schemy enough? Is he shocking enough? Is he quick enough at invading Armenia to be called a Shahanshah? Or is he just a Shahanah?
Yeah, no. Very disappointing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not even disappointing enough to be like, oh, but I will remember him. No, this will escape my memory in like 3 weeks.
I feel like you could make the argument, but I'm not going to.
Great. Glad we agree.
Because there's some interesting stuff there, but it's mostly involving other people, and Orodes is more interesting in his underdog taking the throne story. So
actually,
yeah, don't think anybody's going to cry if we give Mithridates IV a Shahana. So he can go off into the desert, meet Phraates III, and say, "Hi, Dad. Sorry about the murder thing. It didn't work out for me, by the way."
Yeah.
So that's it.
And his father will be like, well, the consequences to your own actions, you dumbass.
Yes, if you had let me live, I would have named you heir and things would have been okay. But they weren't.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. And yeah, that brings us to the end of our episode. Thank you for sticking with us so far. We hope you enjoyed your time. If you want to support us, we have a couple of ways to do that. You can subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/so-you-think-you-can-rule-Persia and join the many lovely people who are with us. And this week, we're also welcoming Melinda Haunton into our court. So thank you very much.
Thanks for the support.
You along. And if instead you'd rather not give monetary support, we're very happy to receive your comments and reviews on your podcast app of choice, which let us know that, hey, you're enjoying this, and anybody else who is thinking, should I try this podcast? If they see your nice review, they'll think, yes, I should. Let's do this. So it'll help grow our nice community and bring more people into knowing about obscure Middle Eastern politics from 2,000 years ago.
Yeah. Well, that will be all for this week. Thank you so much for listening to the end of the podcast, and I hope everybody will have a lovely week and take care.
Yes, and get ready for Orodes II next time. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.